Polls show Governor DeSantis standing in a distant second place behind Donald Trump.
All right, let's bring in CBS News Miami's Jim DeFede with analysis of the night. And interesting that Miami was brought up there. Jim, this was a critical opportunity for Ron DeSantis. Did he do what he needed to do?
That's really hard. I think he had a decent night, a good night. The problem for him was there were others who had a better night. And when you're on a stage with 8 people, you tend not to get a lot of airtime. And what we saw in the debate was you had Vivek Ramaswamy and Mike Pence and Nikki Haley stepping forward and aggressively seeking time on camera. And I think they sort of had some of the best moments of a debate. And so often in a debate, it's those moments that go viral. Ron DeSantis did well. I think he served his needs of sort of showing a steady hand. He came across a little, he shouted a little bit too much, came across kind of angry for the first hour, and he really hit his stride about an hour and 20 minutes into the debate with his answer about the southern border. But I just think it was a problem for him in the sense that there were so many people on stage. I don't think that there's anything that Ron DeSantis said that is going to be so memorable, whereas I think that there are things that you heard from some of the others that were. And I think that's the challenge for Ron DeSantis.
Jim, now behind Trump, who obviously clearly was not at the debate tonight, we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes, but, you know, DeSantis was the front runner among this group, among the 8 who were on stage. Do you think that the performance in tonight's debate could potentially shake up that polling to have DeSantis drop down and some of the other candidates rise up?
I think DeSantis will likely hold where he's at. I do think that there is a likelihood that you'll see some rise in some of those other candidates. You know, I mean, I think the surprise of the night really was Mike Pence. Who knew Mike Pence was so lively? You know, it was like he really did come to life suddenly on the stage after all these years. And of course, you had somebody who is all personality, which is, you know, Vivek Ramaswamy, who, you know, stole a lot of the evening. So I would expect that his numbers will rise only because this was a chance for him to introduce himself on a national stage. Same thing with Tim Scott and Nikki Haley. I thought they did well. I don't know that it's really going to make much of a change for Chris Christie. I still think Donald Trump is going to be way ahead, you know, when we look a week from now. And the problem for all these candidates is tomorrow Donald Trump will be, you know, surrendering, or later this week he'll be surrendering in Georgia, and as a result, you know, all the headlines are back to talking about Donald Trump, which is exactly what he wants, even under these adverse conditions. So, you know, I don't know that there was a game changer here tonight, but again, you know, this is the first debate and there's going to be more.
And we will cover them. Jim DeFede, thank you very much for your insight.